All right, hi there. I've been working on an extraction tool for Juiced. There is an existing tool for Juiced called JAR, which stands for the Juiced Archive Ripper. The problem with this tool is that if you were to open an archive, it won't give you any file extensions or names. So without that, if somebody was to say, "Oh, hey, can you edit the textures?" you would have a difficult time finding the textures first off because there's no file types here. So you're kind of just stuck kind of poking around in the dark until you can find the assets that you want. And if you were to extract it and wanted to replace it, you cannot repack the entire archive. You can only replace one file at a time, which makes this tool, in my opinion, not that great. So me wanting to look at the models, I was having a very hard time finding the models. So I had to actually write my own utility for that. So this is the utility that I wrote. It's called JAT. I kind of wanted to stay with a corny name as the Juiced archive tool. And so let's say I want to take an archive like this one. I just got to drag and drop it on top of the executable, and it's going to go on and pack that, and it's going to create a folder. All right. And the names are a little bit different. They're not like 1, 2, 3, 4. They actually give you an extension. So the extractor will try to guess the extension, guess the name, and then give some debugging information so that it can help you kind of explore the file. So for example, the first number here represents the memory address of the file is located in the archive. The second value is the file identifier, which identifies what file it is, and then followed by any kind of information that we can, guesstimate about the file. So for example, you can look at one of these files here. You can see that some of them have text at the top of the file. That's just copied and then moved here as the guest name. And then based on data patterns, it will be labeled with an extension. In this case, D8M is models. All right, going down, mats are materials. And we have PTD, which are textures. The PTDs are automatically converted to TGA, so I can preview them quickly. All right, pretty simple. Now, in addition to this extraction tool, outside of just me finding models, was actually to add a naming list. I was made aware that the community was naming files through bat files and renaming lists. So I figured I would just include that as a secondary function of the extracting tool. In this case, I went through and actually created names for the beetle. So for example, where's the beetle? I'll show you how that one extracts. Okay, here's the folder here. And you can see these are just dummy files, don't worry about those. But you can see in these other folders here, we have full names, full folders, all that kind of stuff. And that's maintained by this file list.ini, where I write the file ID of a file and then its given name that I want to give it and path. Okay, very simple, but there are, from what I've inspected, thousands of files, and that kind of becomes a problem. I believe I made a post explaining how you can go through here and just add these. Today I'm going to be using Excel sheet to hopefully expedite that process. If you have Excel, this will definitely help you. So I'll be showing that process now, how we can generate the names. All right. Okay, so let's do that. So we need to have Juice installed. So we have Juice installed here. I am going to start it because it does take a long time for it to initialize, at least on my computer. We're going to be using a file monitoring software called Process Monitor. It's a free application for Windows, and it's going to tell us when the game tries to access a file. Okay, when it opens up, you need to add a program to monitor. So just go to process name and then type in juice.exe. Once it's in the list, click OK. Stop it from You need to stop it from logging because it's going to slow down your computer. At least it does for me. So immediately just hit the hourglass here or the magnifying to pause it. And just clear the board so you don't have all this junk in front. It's going to be playing a lot of videos in this game, so it's going to be a lot of video. You don't want to be seeing all that crap. All right, I'm just going to get to the menu. I actually want to go to custom race. There is a car in here that I want to look at and try to force the game to give me information on. So I'm going to be looking at the Camaro today and getting some file names for it. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the archive for the Camaro in a hex editor, which is Camaro underscore UI. There's also one called Camaro, but we'll be looking at the UI today for now. Just a little brief explanation of the format. We have two integers here. This one is the file count, and then the second one is the address table. So we're going to copy the address table address, and we're going to go to that position. Okay. I have my column width here set to 20. Each entry is 20. That way, every line is basically a file. So this is file 1, file 2, file 3. So if you're looking at the the jar application, file 1 would be this, file 2, and that would be file 3, etc. Okay. Now these are this first integer going down in this column. These are the file IDs. These are what we're going to be removing to force the game to tell us what that file is. Pretty simple. But I've been working on this throughout yesterday, so I need to see what where I need to pick up from. So I'm going to right click here and go to the Camaro UI dat, and here I have a list already partially made. And I'm gonna just resume where I was, which is line 31. So to get to this line, I can count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but that can take some time. What you can do is you can take this hex value, and if your hex editor supports integer searching, you can search down for that integer. Another way of searching for it is just looking for it down in that column. It's pretty simple. So I'll show you. Show you that process. So because this file is written in Little Endian, we're basically reading it backwards. So the number I'm looking for is actually 318344. So I would search down for 31 in this column. 318344 AC. That's pretty much it. Yes, it is. There we go. Didn't take too long. All we're going to do is just write a series of zeros over that integer, and that is enough to remove that file from the archive. Simple. I'm going to save. Yes. And now the game, when it tries to access this archive, will not be able to find that file, and we'll be able to use the file monitoring software, Process Monitor, to detect that failure of the program reading that file, which is great. All right, so where are we? We're waiting to load the car up, so I'm going to activate capturing, and I'm going to turn on auto scrolling so that I can see the bottom there at all times. And I'm going to go into the car selection menu. Okay, I'm going to navigate to the Camaro. And as you see, I'm navigating. It's actually showing us the file calls. In this case, it's loaded the trans UI.dat. So when I go to the Camaro, you will see it loaded the Camaro UI.dat. Awesome. Now there are some errors here at the bottom. These ones, I've seen this in other cars. Sometimes they're missing the left and right skirt. Those I'm going to ignore. But now what I'm going to do is just kind of play around in this menu until I can get the game to report another missing file. So I'm just going to cycle through the mods. And here we have some files detected. So in this case, I'm going to grab the first occurrence. I'm going to go right click and go to copy, and then I'm going to go into my spreadsheet. And this is the name for that file. Pretty straightforward, at least I think so. And we're going to do the second one, okay? So we just follow along. So I'm going to undo what I had written there, restore that data, and then write a series of zeros in the second entry, or the next following entry. And then we just rinse and repeat, guys. Very simple process. So we're going to erase, turn on auto scrolling. I'm going to go to the next car and then go back to the Camaro to force the game to reload that file. Okay. In this case, the game did crash. Some files will cause a crash, unfortunately. And that's the most time-consuming thing because you have to reload the game, and the game does take a very long time to initialize and get back into the menu. But we did get the name for this, so that's great. So we're just going to go back in our spreadsheet and add that back to the spreadsheet. So now we have that file figured out, okay? And so that's the process. It's just basically going down the list and completing all the names until you're done. It does take a long time. I think I clocked myself about 5 hours for the Beetle, but considering that some of these are shared now, it probably take me a little bit less, maybe 3, hopefully. But you can see the process is not that complicated. It's actually quite simple. Doing this, we can get names for all the cars. I think there's like 120 cars in inventory. So we do need some extra help to kind of carry that out. Anyway, once we've updated this list and it's been filled out, we do want to export this to the exporter. So what we're going to do is go back to the home page. There's going to be a big button here. Okay, click on this, and it's going to ask you to save the file ini. You're going to save that to the same directory as the executable here, and overwrite this one. That's going to update it with the new information in your spreadsheet. And now when you use the extractor on the Camaro, you will have full names just like the Beetle. Okay, and there it is. That's the Jatool or Jad or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I want to have it a corny name for it, but yeah. All right, thank you for watching, and take care. Bye.